People
there.
need to hear the word no. Like
Right.
you do, you know what I mean? And like today's society, a lot of it's always yes, 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 yes. Here's a participation trophy. No, you're not good enough right now. You need to figure out how to get better.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kevin Salinas. I am here with a good friend of mine, serial entrepreneur like myself, Josh Radtkin.
Thank you.
How you doing, brother?
Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm doing really good for, 3 or 4 hours worth of sleep last night, but I couldn't miss it today. I couldn't miss it.
I
man.
appreciate you for not canceling.
Yeah.
Because I probably would have.
No, you wouldn't. No, man.
No, we were talking a little bit. I was reading, talking to Jessica and just reading about your story and really interesting things. And I don't know how many people know about your actual story. And I look at everything that you've built and I think it's so amazing, right? Like what you've
Thanks.
done with Glass City Wranglers and then I didn't realize you were into real estate until you started renting dumpsters from me, And so I'm like, I need to know more about his story, and I feel like people need to understand your story to understand your hustle and your grind.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And it's kind of crazy when I was younger. I was always asking questions, right? And I didn't realize I was really asking those questions. I just had interest in, how things worked, and I don't mean mechanically. I mean just like how things worked with somebody's brain on way they made decisions with, business or even sports and stuff like that. And so I started, just really asking certain people different questions where I could potentially take a little bit of their answer and kind of apply it to myself. But yeah, we got a really good story, and, I do real estate, kind of like we were talking about earlier, and, kind of stacking things up as you get older, like another alternative of a retirement versus a, 401k or something like that.
So going back to your journey, right?
Yeah.
Are you born and raised in Toledo native,
Yeah.
100%?
Yeah.
Through and through?
Yeah. So, born and raised in Toledo, I ended up transferring to Maumee Valley Country Day at 7th grade. And, looking back now, it really did, shape the way that I think. Because Maumee Valley kind of taught me to think outside the box, right? They gave you a lot of freedom to be disciplined, though. So it wasn't a good fit for every single person. You had to really be more. Yeah, I don't know how to say it, but you had to have some type of hustle, some type of drive.
Yeah.
And it gave me the opportunity to be creative. And there was even a class where we were taking, I mean, this was back in like 99, right? I can't even, when was that, 30 years ago almost, right? So like there was a class we were taking, and it was about like things you don't learn in school, right? Like I think it was called like survival skills at the time, right? And it was like how to balance a checkbook or something, and
Yeah.
how to, potentially how to do your laundry, like the things you don't learn, right? Or how to change oil, right? And there's a gentleman in, and they're going around the room and asking, what do you want to do when you grow up, right? Mm-hmm. And Maumee Valley is a school where there potentially are a lot of successful entrepreneurs or people that are higher up in the business world, because it is a little bit more expensive. But my family got a lot of financial aid to go there, so we were a little bit.
Is it a private
It is a private school. Maumee Valley Maumee Valley Country Day is a private school.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to get at is my parents were very hardworking, but I didn't really have I didn't have specifically somebody who I was able to look up to in a career field, right? Like my dad was a very hard worker, but not like a doctor or a high-paying job, right? Like just worked hard, right? Just put his nose down and worked really hard. And same thing with my mom. And so, a lot of these other students around me, they're answering the question, hey, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a neurologist, and I want to be an engineer, just
Yeah.
like my dad. And, it finally came around to me. And I was like, I want to own a storage unit. And they're like, what? I was like, and a car wash. Yeah, just throw one of those into a car wash. And the person looked at me and was like, is this a joke?
Right.
And I was like, no. And they're like, well, okay, well, explain. I said, as a 15-year-old, I was like, I don't want to really work hard. I want to make good decisions, but I don't want to work hard when I get older. So like people can just drive through my car wash and I just make money.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then they can just store their stuff in a building and I make money. And I was like, that seems like a really good job. And they're like, okay, you're on to something, right? And so
Right.
like that was like something that really clicked and it stood by me because I remember teachers were talking about it. Other students were like kind of laughing about it. And like, I was kind of like, that makes sense because I didn't know what I wanted to do, right?
Right.
And I'm at a school that is, has like 100% college acceptance. It's like a college-ready
Oh, wow.
high school, right? And so like you're pushed in a positive way to go to college, right? You're meeting with guidance counselors, college counselors, and like it's always, what do you want to do? We'll go to college. What do you want to do? And my parents were like, yo, we don't have a lot of money, so you need to try to figure things out yourself. Like if you're gonna go to college, try to get college scholarships.
Yeah.
I had good grades and everything. So I had that in my mind, like, yo, I can't take this for granted. Like I have to figure out what I wanted to do. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. I really didn't. And it's hard to say at a young age, like, what do you want to do? But I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but also that had a lot to do with sports because I was always involved in sports. I was always one of the best on the athletic team. But it wasn't just because I was just walking on the court or on the field. It was because I put the time in, right?
Yeah.
And so like back in the day, we didn't really have a lot of video games. We didn't have the phones and stuff like that. So what do we do on a Friday night? You go outside and play, kick the can, you play tag, you play hoops, you play soccer. You know what I mean? So you're always out there grinding, even though you're almost practicing, so you're learning those skills that I took hand with, just being athletic, man, being part of a team, which then put me in a position of always being a leader on the team.
That's one thing. Like, I wish I would have gotten to when I was younger is like sports more.
Yeah.
But now like my kids, because I just feel like the competitiveness in sports, whether you suck or you're good or whatever, I just feel like it teaches you certain things about competitiveness, about success, about grind and hard work, and so like now like my kids, like I make sure that they, they're going to try out every sport, but not because I want them to become, this big basketball or football player or whatever, but mainly because I want them to understand how to work with teammates, how to work as a team, the competitiveness, the grind, the hustle, the hard work that it takes to because I feel like that will really shape your life as well.
It will. I mean, honestly, I tell everybody, sports is my foundation. And I'm 41, so I'm not really an athlete anymore, but sports is still everything. It's taught me, how to compete. It taught me, next play mentality, right? And so like you make a mistake in life, but life doesn't really wait around for you. What are you going to do with that mistake, right? And that's just part of, everybody's going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. But how are you going to take accountability for the mistake you made? Because that's you when you look in the mirror, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you going to take accountability and make the adjustments to get to the goal that you're trying to pursue, right? And with sports, of course, it could be you're trying to win, right? But what about being a father? What about being a husband? You know what I mean? That's still, what are you going to do to take accountability for, you being a leader, you being on a team? That's a partnership right there, right? So sports is everything, man. It's really extremely important for youth. And even so, it's helped me with business, man, because it ain't easy. Like you're competing up against everybody,
Right.
then you're competing against yourself. You know what I mean? So like if you don't have that next play mentality, if you don't know what it's like to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and grind while everybody's sleeping, man, it's going to be a little bit harder, right? And so like you put yourself in those positions to have an advantage over your opponent, or you have an advantage over your looking in the mirror saying, man, okay, this is what I got to do.
And like like you said, waking up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, in a way, you're also making your own luck.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Because, and that's came up recently, just different people that I've talked to. They're like, people will say, oh, I got lucky or whatever, but it's like you really make your own luck. You put yourself into positions where luck is going to work in your favor.
Yeah.
And that's one of those, right? Waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. You can't expect to wake up at 9 or 10 and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be successful one day.
I don't know. No, you're right. Because like, there's so
but
many people that look at my wife and I from the outside, right? You know, they may look at what we have right now and not see that, hey, this has been, you know, like I mentioned, 20 years of business, but another 20 years prior to that, you know, we're still getting ready, you know, like we're an intern, you know, within our own business, within our own portfolio, right? And so like people don't see that, right? They don't see you getting up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, right? Yeah. And everybody may say, you know, hey, you know, look at the Radtkins, man. They just got lucky, you know, with something. But like if you want to hit a home run, you're going to have to strike. You're going to have to strike out a couple times, right?
Right.
But if you're not in the game, you're not going to have that opportunity, right? And so, like you said, it's about giving better probability, better chances, better opportunities. But you have to be in the game, you know. And everybody wants to see everybody wants to see that grand slam or that, you know, game-winning, you know, goal or something like that. But a lot of people don't see the failures, right? You know, they don't see the failures.
And that and you know, overcoming those failures starts with mentality.
Oh my gosh, yes, man. You know, like it's tough, you know. And even like if like seeing those failures, but also hearing it from people, right? Like that's kind of how our society is now today. Is everybody's so vocal, right? And it could even be more so on the internet, right? And so you look a lot of these people that are in the position of, you know, being famous celebrities and athletes, and all the trash that they have to see on the internet and stuff like that, you know, it's tough to overlook that, you know what I mean? But like that just doesn't happen from one experience, man. So like it's a grind, you know, it's many, many years of going through these things and analyzing what works and what doesn't work, and kind of cliche, you know, be around the ones that have like-minded interest to you. You know what I mean? Like if you're a shark, you better be swimming with sharks. You better not be out there, you know, like with a bunch of goldfish, you know? So like, you don't want to do that, but like that takes time to learn that stuff, or you have to have a really good, you know, mentor or advisor around you.
You got to eat those goldfish.
Yeah, you got to eat them, right? Right. And then you just be a fat shark, you know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, I mean, that's the real thing is like, you know, you hear it all the time, man. Like, I want to be a successful business person. Well, go be around business people. Well, how do I do that?
Right.
That takes time. You know what I mean? That takes getting out there in the community, making connections, having conversations, figuring out, you know, who people are, and potentially walking away from people, right? And so you have this big circle that, you know, you potentially have in the beginning or when you're younger, right? And then as you get older, that circle narrows down and narrows down and narrows down. And then you're like, man, I got 5 good families or 5 good people around me, and I've accomplished more with those 5 people, 5 family versus those 100 people that I was trying to, you know.
Yeah, I'm a big I'm like what you just said. You know, you gotta get out there and put yourself out there. I'm a big believer in, like, I hate comfortability, and I'm always like, me personally, I'm always pushing myself to be in uncomfortable situations, positions, rooms. And what I mean by that is, like, you know, having a conversation, opening a conversation with somebody that you don't know, but just talking to them and opening that connection, you know, because someone could be looking at like, oh, okay, well, it's easy to say, you know, hang out with those people, but how do you get there? Well, just reach out to them.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, want to have lunch? You know, invite them to lunch, invite them to dinner, and force a conversation, you know, and let that conversation guide whether that's a good fit for you or what you want in your life or not. But that's the thing. Like, I feel like we don't like to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, like, I know so many people, and I'm always putting myself out there in uncomfortable situations because I feel like I grow from those situations.
Do, yeah. So, yeah. So 2 things with being uncomfortable, and then what was the other thing you said? Because there's 2 things I wanted to bring.
Being comfortable and being uncomfortable.
Yeah, and then there's something else.
Networking.
Networking. Yep. Okay. So those 2 things. Just so I don't forget, because I might trail off. So, you know, so like reaching out to people, like you mentioned. You know, a lot of people are maybe shy and nervous to reach out to potentially like somebody like you or me, right? But how I am is I appreciate those people reaching out to me, because At one point in time, I was talking to people and they were, having conversation with me and teaching me, right? And I remember some gentleman told me and I asked him like, hey, thank you so much for your time. Why'd you do this? And they're like, well, I was you at one point, right? And so eventually we get to a point where it's like, you're going to want to teach the younger generation or somebody else, because that's going to remind you of what you've done, what you've accomplished, right? Because you don't want to forget that, so you want to check yourself. But also teaching is very important to be able to give back, but it really comes back to, it's reassuring what you've done. It's reminding you what you've done to get to where you're at, because nobody knows that journey except you, to full details. So it's really important. So like when people may want to reach out to me, and I'm not telling everybody to reach out to me like nonstop, but it's okay to reach out, because a lot of people like myself and you, I would like to talk to them. I may not be able to talk to them right then, but I would like to talk to them. You know what I mean? So again, it reassures what we've done to get to where we're at. And it could also remind me of the things that I've done to say, hey, I remember doing that, and I got some similar situation like this coming up. I need to remember, trust my gut and trust my emotions and, experience and make a better decision, with something coming up. Now, the other thing is being uncomfortable. I had a situation like that, a couple of years ago. It was like we were comfortable, my wife and I. We were comfortable, and eventually got to a point where, as like the cat is gone, the mice may play, right? You know what I'm saying? So like we, had to, kind of had to sit down and, focus back in on things to, understand like, man, this is still a grind. We're in a dog eat dog world and everything. And, we have a family to run, businesses to run, and, really good things to continue to do in the community. So, we had a lockdown and, just kind of check ourselves and get back to what our goals were, what our values were.
Yeah.
And we had to start doing certain things that, like where you're uncomfortable, right? And so like, I don't know if you follow a lot of our social media stuff right now with like Last City Wranglers, but I'm doing some crazy stuff, but there's a bigger picture behind it, right? And so like, I have to believe in my vision, and I may have to demonstrate that vision so other people can believe it and see it as well. And I may have to do things that aren't my normal goofy character, that people may look at and be like, man, that's weird. And I'm like, it is. Yeah. But there's a bigger idea. There's a bigger concept. It's gonna be a lot of fun, right? And so the other part about being uncomfortable is I used to do MMA. I used to do mixed martial arts. I used to fight, man. I used to fight. I'm like one of the nicest people in the world, but I used to fight because it's a sport, right?
So and sorry to interrupt you, but so after Mommy, what is it? Maumee,
Ohio. Maumee Valley. Yep.
Yep. After Maumee Valley, like what happened that you got into MMA?
Okay. All right. That's a great story. And it was a very, it's a story that I really like, because I'm teaching my kids and other youth around me to, my experience, and they can kind of take it with and how they can, relate to their story with college coming up. Because my son's 17, my international student's 15, my daughter's 13. So like we're getting ready for them to go to potential college if they want to, right? Yeah. And I say if they want to. So what happened is I was really good at basketball in high school and soccer. I was all state in basketball and soccer in high school. Yeah, so I was pretty good, right? But this was like before the internet. This was like, you had to have VHS tapes, right? So you make a mixtape and it's blurry and stuff like that. So like the world was different, right? I mean, it was all, we were watching black and white TV back in the day, right? And so like it was different, right? So, the game of basketball was completely different back then. So I ended up going to a Division III college. I could have walked on it, I could have had tryouts and walk-ons for D1s. There's other D2s. But either way, I chose a college that was close to home, based on everything the coach was trying to basically sell me, recruit me, right? So at this college, when I get there, I was a shooter and I was, a slasher to the hoop, right? Or a slasher to the goal. So when I get there, the coach was like, hey, you got to throw it down to the post because we have an All-American. And it needs to go through him every single time because we're going to win games if it goes through him. And I'm thinking, yo, you recruited me to be a shooter and, slasher. Like, this is the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm an athlete. He's the coach. That's the chain of command. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But like when you're trained to do something over and over again, that's what you're going to do when situations happen, right? And so through all this struggling with practices and a different philosophy on how the game is supposed to be played at this college, and my decision to go to college
Yeah.
at this location, a lot of things were weighing on me because it wasn't everything that we planned out, everything we talked to, right? And so it got to a point where there's a game and it was 2-on-1. So me and one of my teammates on a fast break and one defender, right?
Yep.
I had the ball. I shoot a 3-pointer, 2-on-1, right? I make it. I mean, that's what I do. I mean, I make the shot, right? And the reason why I did that, and that's how I thought a little bit different back in the days, because I'm going forward to the basketball hoop with my momentum, and my teammate is also with me.
Yeah.
And the defense is backpedaling.
Yep.
Right? And so if I miss it, which I won't, so if I miss it, we're going to get the rebound or something,
yeah,
right?
It's 2-1. Yeah,
right? So better probability, right? Versus, so I make it, right? And the coach pulled me out right away. And he's like, that's the worst shot I've ever seen in my life, right?
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, all this stuff is built up. And I'm like, I made it. You know what I mean? Like we talked it up real quick and everything. And sit down, I'm like, man. So halftime, I'm broken down by halftime because I just know, like, man, this ain't me. This isn't what I signed up for. This isn't 4 years of my high school career to right here. Like, this is horrible. This is the worst decision I ever made, right?
Yeah.
And then there's all these other things. And so I end up quitting. And after I quit, 9 other people quit as well. The coach lied about everything, right? You got fired immediately, just program went to crap, hire a new coach, right?
Wait,
so
why did the 9 other kids
so
quit?
he lied to me about my roommate. He lied to me about the way the offense was ran. He was lied to me about like the meal stipends and everything was a lie, man. And like I had a roommate, cool dude. He was another white guy, right? And me and him got along. And he was like, this was like when things started like connecting the dots. He's like, man, Josh, I like you. He goes, but I wanted a black dude as a roommate. Like, honestly, like that's what the coach told me I was going to get. You know what I mean? And I'm like, man, this ain't adding up. You know what I mean? So like we all were like kind of investigating behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
And so like everybody has their story on why they quit, but it was bad, man. So like I quit and then I transferred to Owens Community College. And so I went to a basketball coach and was like, hey, yo, I want to play. You know what I mean? I'm here because it didn't work out there. And he's like, dude, we already gave away all our scholarships. And again, I had to pay for my college. So I'm like, oh, what do I do?
Yeah.
Even though Owens may not be as expensive as some other colleges, it's money out of my pocket as a, 19-year-old or something like that.
Yeah.
So I went to the college Owens soccer coach and I was like, hey, can I play? He's like, yeah, come try out. I know who you are, And I made the team, gave me scholarship. So then I go back to the basketball coach like, hey, I can play. He was like, no, man, they overlap. You can't play. I was like, oh. And so I had to play soccer.
Yeah.
And so I played soccer for 2 years, was a captain one of the year. We went to nationals.
Did you play soccer before then, or was
I did. So I was all state in high school with soccer as well. So I was
that's crazy.
I was just like the bully, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my foot skills weren't great, but I was just work really hard.
What position?
Outside mid.
Okay.
Like I run from the goalpost to goalpost.
Yeah.
And then if you're in my way, I run you over, right?
Yep.
But if my dude gets in a little fight and flops, I'm over there fighting, right? Like that was me. I was just the bully, but I just worked really hard, you know what I mean? Just so yeah, I was outside mid, and we went to nationals for Owens, and I didn't play college at Owens. I didn't play basketball at Owens. Mm-hmm. So then after Owens was over, I got my degree there, which was just liberal arts, like a whatever degree, honestly, right? Because again, I didn't know what I was going to college for. Mm-hmm. I just knew I wanted to play hoops and kind of figure things out or play sports.
Right.
So then I transferred to University of Toledo to go into business management. Mm-hmm. So I emailed or called. There was no email back then, probably. So I called up the coach, and he's like, yeah, I know who you are. Just you haven't played in 2 years. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. He's like, come walk on. Try out. Yeah. And so I was like, cool. So I'm getting ready to go to the walk on tryout for UT, And then like something hit me, man. Like I had my bags packed, I was ready to go, and I kind of just dropped my bag and was like, I think I'm good. Like there ain't nothing for me if I make this team. Like there's nothing after. Like I'm just like, I'm a realist at that point. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just not, it's okay. I got other things to do. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so,
Do you feel like you realized, like, do you feel like you thought, am I actually going to go pro with this?
yep, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, you know what, after this, because it's a lot, like being a college athlete at any level
Yeah.
is so much, right? And I knew, I was like, you know, I love this, but like, I just know it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to put me more behind maybe.
Yeah.
So I just kind of dropped my bag and was like, let me figure things out, and went to college a couple more weeks maybe, or a couple more days. And I dropped out of University of Toledo. And I had really good grades, but I dropped out because I'm like, why am I going to go here and pay all this money if I don't even know what I'm going for besides business management? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Excuse me. But I know that I have good grades. I know it could be an option if I figure out what I want to do, and I can potentially go back, even though probability of going back to college isn't always that great, you know?
Yeah.
Like once you stop, like it's hard to go back. But I knew that, like I had plans. Like that was always my thing, is I always had plans. And so my plan was, hey, drop out of college. I need to start my own business, right? So I had little side hustles with selling electronics and stuff while I was working full time. And I ended up.
What were you selling? Like, what was out?
So I used to work for a company called Household Centralized Service, and the guy that owned it his name was Dave, and he was an amazing person. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Besides, he was just such a good person, and he was. It was like a company that fixes appliances and TVs. So like those big TVs on wheels back in the day.
Yeah.
Like heavy. Like I was the muscle with my buddy Kevin, and we'd be in a big box truck and picking those items up and bringing it back to the shop so it can be fixed for warranty. Same thing with like washer dryers and stuff. And what would happen is the technicians would order, and this is how I was thinking, right? So the technicians would order parts ahead of time based on the symptoms to speed up the process, because shipping back 20 years ago wasn't as quick.
Right.
So they would order these electronics, and they would get a potential credit for it because they knew, submit the diagnosis, this should fix the problem, right? Mm-hmm. And so let's say they ordered 3 parts because 2 of the parts would probably fix it, but they don't know which 2 out of the 3.
Right.
They would still be able to keep the 3 products. So install 2, and then they had an extra product that they just throw away because it's already paid for, right? Versus keeping all the inventory. So I started seeing these guys throw away these brand new electronics. I'm talking like a motherboard or certain chips that went in these old, monsters of appliances. And so I'd go up to them and be like, hey, what are you doing with that? And they're like, throwing it away. And I'd be like, can I have that? And they're like, no. I'm like, you're throwing it away. I'm going to get it as soon as you turn around. I'm going to go get it, right? But I ended up saying, hey, because I wasn't at the shop all the time. We were in the box trucks, right? So I ended up saying, hey, man, every time you have a electronic that you want to throw away, I'll give you $10. They're like, really? $10? Okay. So I started buying these electronics from them, turning around, selling them on eBay for maybe $50, making a couple dollars. And I'd do that over and over again. I started learning, like, hey, I can manage money a little bit. I can learn how to do customer service and, different ways of selling. This is like when eBay started becoming famous, right? And so that's what I was doing with that.
Wait, that's really quick before you continue. I think that's so badass because 2 things. You could look at the fact that they said no. I'd rather throw this away as a negative and be like, oh well, this person is however or whatever. But they're rude or they're they didn't help me out or whatever. But instead, you came up with a different proposition. You said, hey, I'll give you $10 every time. Now they're interested, but that door closing on you getting it for free, it's just added another little obstacle that you had to overcome.
Yeah.
That now if you look back at your life now, it's like I don't know. I believe a lot in like closed doors teach you a lot more than
they do, man.
You know,
yeah.
and so the fact that he was like, no, and you're like, okay, well, what if I give you $10?
But how do I get around you? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Same thing with sports. Like your defender is right in front of your face, right? But how do you get around them? So maybe I'll distract them. You know what I mean? Like, hey, look, there's an eagle, right? And go around them, right? And so like I had that where I'm like, hey, I may not see all the other items you're throwing away. There may be some gold mines in there. Well, how about $10 if I know like I could make 40 off you, right? And I could potentially get more. So it's like, how do you find a way to make things happen? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like that's that grind. You know what I mean? That's that mentality.
And not like instead of like looking at it like, you know, oh, this person didn't help me. Looking at it a different way or being disencouraged. I don't know. I just thought that was really
thanks, man.
Something that needs to be spoken more about.
Yeah.
And I wanted to kind of stop you.
People
right there.
need to hear the word no. Like you do, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And like today's society, a lot of it's always yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Here's a participation trophy. Here's a ribbon, you know, for 5th place.
Yeah.
No, you're not good enough right now. You need to figure out how to get better, right?
Exactly.
Because when that reality hits at an adult age, how are they going to overcome that situation, right? How are they going to, you know, just
You're
deal
not
with
gonna,
it,
you're not going to
you
get a
know?
participation award or a trophy if you're an adult.
And it's hard to say no sometimes to the ones you love or your friends, you know, but sometimes you do need to hear it, you know.
Yeah.
But there's always a way to say something to you can always say anything to anybody. It's just how the tone you say it, right? My wife helps me out with that because sometimes I'm really just straight direct and not every person can receive it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what I mean? Like I just don't have time to waste, but I don't mean it in a bad way. It's just it's like, hey, here it is. I'm on to the next thing. So we got so many things to do. But you have to tell people no, right? Mm-hmm. But it's kind of gotten away from our society. But yeah, you just got to find a way to make it work. Yeah. So then, so after I dropped my bags for going to go to the walk-on, you know, I dropped out of college, and I found out about this semi-pro basketball team 20 years ago. It was Toledo Ice. And so the Toledo Ice was, again, a semi-pro basketball team, and I got asked to be on it. And I think it was the second year of their operations. And pretty much once I committed and everything, you know, and I was getting ready to go, they folded. They folded, and I was like, yeah, this thing isn't really working out for me. Like all this sports, you know, going on with basketball, it's just folded, you know what I mean? So that was my opportunity to say, hey, I can actually play. You know what
something,
I mean? Yeah. But it folded. So
what happened to that team? Like
I really don't know because, you know, again, it was 20 years ago. I know it just was like, hey, it's not going to happen anymore. Like I assume it was probably way too expensive because it is, you know, speaking from experience. And then it takes somebody, you know, business-minded to run a sports team or organization, right? You know, it's all fun and games, you know, planning it. But then once you actually get your hands dirty in it, like it's difficult. Like it's not just showing up and playing basketball. There's so much behind the scenes.
Right.
And so, so I just kind of was like, hey, I threw my shoes up on a telephone wire, you know what I mean? And was like, I'm done playing basketball forever. I'm done. And so then all of a sudden, like UFC became famous. So UFC became like more modern, right? And so there was a fight like every 2 months. And so the anticipation of that fight was like gold, man. It's like, oh, there's a fight coming up, and it's been 2 months since I've seen the last fight. So we'd all go to the bars, man. It was a big deal, right? And so like now it's like there's a fight twice a week.
What year was this?
I think it was like 04, 05.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, 2004, 2005. Man, 20 years ago. So that's crazy. So yeah. So yeah, we go to the bars, and you know, people started saying, "Hey, Josh, man, why don't you fight?" Because I was like in shape and I was an athlete, and I'm like, I really never fought anybody, and they're like, it's a sport, and I'm like, it is, right? But I never wrestled, I never boxed, I really never like confrontation. You know what I mean? I'm always just like, I got other things to do, on to the next, right?
Yeah.
And I said, I want to get into the business. I was like, because it's groundbreaking. How do you get in the business? And we were all looking around. They're like, I don't know, just start fighting as well, because then you can learn the business. So I started training to fight, like MMA. You know, so we started training.
That's crazy. You're just like, all right.
It was wild, right? Yeah, it was wild because back then it was barbarian, right? Like everybody was like, you know, looking at me like, you know, I'm crazy, which you have to be a little bit crazy to do stuff. But like I had a plan, right? My plan was to compete as much as I could and to learn the business. So that way is when I'm done competing, I would have all this business knowledge with MMA and figure out what to do with the business. So I had, 5 or 6 fights. Everything went really well. And I'd had promoters calling me from across the nation.
You won all those fights?
I think I lost my last one, which I know I lost my last one because I tore my ACL.
No.
Yep. So that was how I was done fighting, as a, I still trained. So anyways, I tore my ACL.
But wait, how was that? Like so
was
you were
wild,
getting, you
man.
were getting in the cage and just like
It was wild, man. Like, so the crazy story, my wife hates me for this, but like, it's a good story. So like my first fight was downtown at the Erie Street Market. And the guy I fought was a beast. He was a monster.
Were these fights like actually like in a cage?
Yeah,
and
like
everything?
MMA
Like,
in a cage,
yeah.
man. Yeah, so it was at the Erie Street Market. My first fight, I was young. When you're young, you have a lot of acquaintances and a lot of people around you at that time. So like I had like 200 people at this fight for me.
Jeez.
My wife is like 8.5 months pregnant, right? And I knew the guy that I was competing against, and he was tough as can be, like the toughest guy in Toledo. And I told my wife, just because I needed to be confident for her, I was like, I'm gonna knock him out in the first round.
Yeah.
I'm gonna knock him out in the first round. Don't worry, even though you're due like the next day, so don't be stressed.
How long? Oh, wow.
Right? It was bad.
how long had you been
Training
training
for like a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like back in the day, like it wasn't as common as it is now. Like people train 7 days a week now. So back then, 20 years ago, it was like, hey, you train 2 or 3 days a week, and that's kind of it for a couple hours.
Yeah.
So the quality of the MMA fighters back then wasn't that great. Like every fighter now would beat the crap out of everybody back in the day, hearsay, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's just because now it's so mainstream and there's a lot more money involved, a lot more opportunities. So yeah, my wife was like, due the next day or something. Like the timing couldn't be any worse, right?
Right.
But I was like, babe, I'm gonna knock him out first round. Don't worry, right? Don't worry. So I remember my walkout song comes on to walk out to the cage.
What song did you pick?
I don't remember, man, because like I was so scared, like, because you're going into a fight and everybody's there. Like the hairs were standing up everywhere on my body, right? And it was just like
a whole different experience.
it was completely surreal. Yeah. So it was just like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm cool, right? And so you get in the cage and you hear that cage door lock and you're like, look back and you're like, I think I can jump over that cage. I think, I'm like, I think I can run, but you can't, but you're also training for this, right? So it's not like you're just coming out of nowhere, right? So like, there's a lot of emotions involved. So the bell rings and I promise you, he probably threw the kitchen sink at me. You know what I mean? It hit me right in the face. I started bleeding. I was like, I guess I need to punch you back or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So we started going at it and I ended up getting the advantage maybe that first round, and I was dead tired. And I remember the bell rings for the end of the first round, and when that bell rang, the first thing I thought was my wife is going to murder me because we have another round. I'm like, ugh. So we go all 3 rounds, man.
Was it 3 rounds at the time?
3 rounds for amateur series. Yep, 3 rounds. The bell rings.
How many minutes per round?
3 minutes. That's it. Like it felt like ever. It was the hardest thing in my life. And we went all 3 rounds. And I remember the referee was like, "Smile, you won," after they announced me and they lift my hand. And I was like, I remember like, "Hey, can you protect me when I walk out?" And he's like, "What?" I was like, "My wife's going to kill me." And so, she was super mad, but then happy, of course, that I won. It was a great opportunity. We go to the bar afterwards, and my opponent was there, great person, buying each other drinks, and it was a great experience.
Yeah.
And then I think my wife went in the labor the next day. Like
Everything turned out.
Everything was great, except I was probably hungover at the hospital Just worst timing ever,
That's
right?
so
It was worst
crazy.
timing ever.
That's so crazy. Get in a fight. Okay, let's all go to
Yeah.
the bar.
Yeah. Yeah, it was different, completely different back in the day, but it was nice.
Did you win any money?
No, so we might have got ticket sales, like a little bit of percentage, but
Yeah.
yeah, there wasn't a lot of money involved. The goal was to build up your amateur career to go pro, and then I never went pro. I got to the point where my last fight was supposed to be I could go pro afterwards, but that's when I tore my ACL.
Yeah.
So I tore my ACL in my last fight, which means hey, I couldn't compete anymore because ACL is a pretty big injury.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I had all these people calling me all the time, like, "Hey, Josh, can you fight for us?" Because again, there's not many fighters back during that time. You
Or
know,
people willing to,
yeah,
crazy enough to.
exactly, yeah, definitely crazy. So there's like, everybody was calling me like in a good way, And so I got to a point, I'm like, what am I gonna do with these, all these phone calls? Like, this is something worth value, all these people are calling me.
Yeah.
And I remember my goal was to get into this, to do the business, to learn the business. And people calling you means they want something. You have value, right? And so I got a phone call from a guy in Indiana, and his name was Butcher Bob. Ran a MMA fight company in Indiana somewhere, and his name was Butcher Bob. I don't know why. But he called me for fighting, right? Wanted to know if I had fighters. And then he called me back after I told him, I tore my ACL, man. I'm trying to do some different things. He said, "You know anybody that wants to buy a cage, like a fight cage?" I said, "Well, I didn't know they were for sale." You know what I mean? Like, what's up, man? He's like, "Okay." He's like, "Well, my daughters are going to college soon, and I want to get out of the game and want to sell all my equipment so I can help pay for college." So I said, I don't, but I'll see what I can talk or have conversations with. So I called up the local promoter at the time and said, "Hey, do you own your cage?" He said, "No." He said, why would I buy a cage if I only have 2 fights a year and they're $25,000?
Jeez.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why would I do that? And I said, okay. So I started calling all these other promoters. So this dude, Butcher Bob, again, he called me a cage. Local promoter said, why would I buy it if I only do it twice a year and it's $25,000 just to have the cage? So other promoters were still calling me for fights, right? And so every promoter that called me, I say, "Hey, yo, what's how much do you rent your cage for then, since you don't own it?"
Yeah.
And they're like, we rent it for like $2,000 every event.
Every event, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, doing the math, writing stuff down, and I'm like, okay. So I called the Butcher Bob back, say, "Hey, how much would you sell the cage to me for?" He said $25,000, and it would include the trailer, the big car hauler, right? Yeah. And
where was Butcher Bob? Like what state?
I think like Fort Wayne, Indiana, not far, hour and a half ish. And so, I'm 21 at this time probably, or 20 years old.
Yeah.
And he's like $25,000. I'm like, dude, I got 25 cents in my bank account. Like, what am I going to do? like, yo, and I was like, I don't have a truck. I got this little car. It's got like a quarter of gas every single day, no matter what. It's always got. So I'm like, this is my opportunity. What am I going to do with this, right? Like, okay. So I figured out a way to talk with Butcher Bob. I got him down to $12,000. I don't know how, but I was like, I got it down $12,000.
More than half.
Yeah, and I borrowed money, took out a loan as well with co-signers to get a truck. And I had a cage. And I was like, how do I set this up?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, so I'll figure out how to set it up before I rent it out.
And this is like before YouTube, before you could
Wait, there was
YouTube
no
anything.
instructions.
How do you set up a cage?
Yeah, there was nothing, man. But I'm like, I fought in them all the time.
Yeah.
I traveled to all these other places for our fighters. So like I was around it, right?
Yeah.
And I knew that cage because we fought in it as well. And it was a circle cage. So it wasn't an octagon. So it was a circle cage, right? A little bit unique, right? And so that was another reason I bought it. I was like, hey, this is kind of different. That way I can promote it differently than everybody else's cage that they may rent. And so I didn't know how to set it up. I didn't have a website at that time, which wasn't common to have websites 20 years ago. So I had to figure all these things out. So like one of the things was, what was my cage rental business name? It was MMAcheapcages.com. MMAcheapcages.com. That's it, right? So like,
Actually kind of genius.
yeah,
though.
I was just like, I'm going to undersell everybody. So everybody that called me said, hey, Josh, you have fighters. I said, no, do you have a cage? How much you rent it for? $2,000. I said, I'll give you mine for $1,500. I'll be there. I'll set it up. I'll even help you out. Whatever I got to do. You already know me. I'm a good dude because I had a good reputation. You know what I mean? Bam, I had all this business. So let's get back to the first one I rented. First one I rented was in Indiana, and I've never set up this cage before because I was like, okay, I'll set it up beforehand. And then when it came out to be, where am I going to set up something this big if I don't own a building or have a space? I couldn't set it up. So then I was like, okay, I'll just figure it out when I get there.
Yeah.
And that's always been my mentality is I will figure it out because I have a vision, I have a goal, I accomplish things. I'm an athlete, I'm a leader. I'm going to get this done one way or another. You're not going to stop me.
Yep.
If you're in my way, get out of my way or you join me, right? I'm going to figure it out.
Yep.
Because if I sit there planning everything out verbatim, I'm never going to accomplish everything.
You're never going to execute.
Never, right? Ever. And so my wife hates this, but that's okay because her and I are opposites.
Yeah.
And it works very well.
Yep.
Because if there was two of us in our same household, because my wife and I work full time together, it would be absolutely crazy. Like crazy. Our house would probably burn down, right? So like, it's very good for my wife how she is, but she hates how I am.
She a planner?
Yes.
That's how Tegan is.
And I
so,
like to
yeah.
plan, but it's very softly, right? I'm an executor. I get things done. That's what it is. We'll figure out a way. It may not be perfect, but it's gonna get the job done, and then we'll make changes next time. So I get to this event, never set it up before, but I get there like 6 hours beforehand because the butcher Bob was like, it takes 2 hours to set up the cage. And then I was like, oh shoot, I've set this up probably 50 times, so he knows what he's doing. That's why it takes 2 hours.
Right.
Like it took us 6 hours to set up this cage. Like the bell was gonna ring, the promoter's on our butt. Like where fight's gonna start, and I'm still trying to tie in screws or tighten down screws and stuff like that. So like it was a photo finish, and we got it done, right?
Did he at least give you like, all right, you do this like a step guide or
Kinda like
yeah,
it was
just like
it
a
was
quick like
yeah. So like like have you ever bought a play set for your kids and it comes in like 2 big boxes and then you
hate that
put
shit.
it all on the yard and you're like, instructions are like
yeah.
2 hours, and then you look at it and you're like, man, this is 2 days later. I'm only, you know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
that's what it was, right? So like once we figured it out, it just took a while to set it up. So we had the circle cage, we set it up, we're there. Drinks are coming out heavy for all the guys in the crowd. And it was a great environment, right? And I'm like feeling good. And there was intermission, right? And so I go to the locker room, and it was unsanctioned at the time, which means it's not an official fight. It's kind of like an underground fight.
Yeah.
So anybody could technically fight.
Yeah.
So there's guys in the locker room, and one guy comes up to me, and he like rips his shirt off, and he's like, I'm ready to do this. And I'm like, okay, bro, And so we knew each other.
Okay, bro.
He's like, you want to do a shot? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, me too. So he takes a shot of whatever it was, right? And I'm like, wait a minute. You have your hands wrapped. He's like, yeah, I'm about to fight. I'm like, okay. He's like, another one? I'm like, for me or you? He's like, yeah. So he's like, did 2 shots real quick, right? So it was crazy. So, these guys were, everybody was nervous, right? But it was unsanctioned. So before the intermission ended, we were out checking on the cage, and it's a circle cage, right? And it may have not been funny to a lot of people, but this guy comes out, and he's talking to us, and he's like, hey, that's a circle cage. I've never seen one before. We're like, yeah, it's pretty cool, huh? He's like, no. He's like, I'm fighting, and my fight's in two fights from now. I'm fighting. He goes, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to fight in this cage. And I'm like, why? What's up, man? It's okay. Like, we've done this many times before. Wink, wink, right?
Right.
And he's like, no, man. He's like, it's a circle. I don't know where my cornerman's going to stand. I was like, it's even though it's a circle, bro, he can still stand over there. He's like,
Right.
oh, okay. And I was like, what am I doing right now, right? And so I had to start saying like, that was for marketing, right? So like something clicked, and I had to market different because it was a circle cage and everybody was always looking up octagon. Where do I rent an octagon, right?
Yeah.
And so as goofy as the story it is looking back, like when you're in the business, you have to make those adjustments, right? So like when I said, like, I just go do things, right? And I make the adjustments. But if I would have planned correctly, I would have never gotten anything done, but I might have had the best marketing plan.
Yeah.
And when I finally launched that marketing plan saying, hey, MMA cheap cage rentals that are octagon-like, right, versus circles, I could eventually launch my marketing plan and I could have missed my opportunity because my timing wasn't there. I took too long to launch it, right? So that's where I'm like, you just gotta get your feet wet, hands dirty, and sometimes get in it.
I mean, regardless of how much you plan, you're still gonna make corrections along the way. So it's like you might as well just execute and make corrections as you go. I mean, that's how I view.
That's
things
life,
too.
man. And even like, I remember all the times like when we had our firstborn, like taking classes. I mean, reading books, and it's just like nobody's ready. You know what I mean? Like you can do as much as you want, as much as you can, and yeah, it's gonna help out a little bit. But I mean, you're never ready. You know what I mean? But it takes it goes back to like being uncomfortable, right? Is the more you put yourself in uncomfortable situations, the better you're gonna be at those uncomfortable situations, right? Where they're not as uncomfortable and then they're comfortable, right? And so like the fighting part really taught me a lot because I never fought before. People were punching me in the face.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a plan, right? It's crazy. Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face, right? And so you can train as much as you want. You can hit the bags as much as you want. But like when you get hit with reality, sometimes that plan don't work out, right? And so, one of the worst situations with MMA could be someone getting a rear naked choke, like their arm around your neck and they tap you out submission-wise. But a lot of people get put in those situations and they respond too quickly, meaning you're let's say you're training and you get caught in a rear naked choke and they tap out right away, compared to you may have 6-7 seconds to make the adjustments to defend yourself before you black out.
Yeah.
But a lot of people may tap out real quick,
They
right?
just give up that.
Yeah, and that's life, right? Like, you get put in an uncomfortable position or situation, and then they tap out too quick, right? And so one of the things that we started doing, because I ended up owning an MMA gym from years of training with other higher instructors, where I had ended up opening my own gym as well. But we used to put ourselves in very uncomfortable situations. So we would start our training where someone would technically have their arms around me, and then the bell rings and it says, go. Figure out how to get out of this situation, or you're going to pass out. Now, of course, you would tap out, but you would learn, like, okay, I have time to sit there, think, stay relaxed, and figure out how to get the best opportunity to get out of the situation, right? And so the more you practice that, the more you saw there's more opportunities. Now, it didn't always work out, but at least you had a better probability compared to tapping immediately, right? And it's about staying calm. And same idea, like if somebody sticks my head underneath water and I'm thrashing around like crazy, I'm going to run out of air really quickly. Versus same thing, someone pushes my head underwater and I'm like, okay, I've been here before. Let's stay calm. Let's try to figure out and analyze the situation to be able to stay, keep my composure, keep my breath.
When you were fighting, when you were actually fighting, I guess like when you're actually in the cage fighting, were you like pissed off after they hit you, or was it like you knew it was like a competitive, like you knew it was a sport, or were you like actually like, I'm gonna fucking murder this guy?
No, you could. There's some people, and those are the ones that are inexperienced because you're training. Like for example, I trained for only a year, which isn't a lot in today's market with MMA. So we're training and we're doing live sparring or light sparring where you're actually getting hit. So it's not that big of a deal if somebody hits you. Now, they may hit you a lot harder in the real fight.
Right.
But at the same time, you're reacting to what you've trained to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
Now, there are a lot of people that come to training sessions that would get really mad if they got hit, but it was the inexperience.
Yeah.
Because maybe they're dealing with something at home or something in life, right? And they're coming to the MMA, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the Muay Thai, the boxing classes for an outlet.
Yeah.
And there just takes some time for that to, balance itself out, but there is a lot of aggression in the beginning with inexperienced people. But in the fight, in the actual setting itself, my experience, it wasn't a lot of rage.
Yeah.
Because you're training, you're trying to compete.
Yeah. They're going to hit you and you're going to hit them.
Yeah.
And
Now, there was one time where I had my head on the mat. Like the guy was in, we call it side mount, where it's sideways like a T, like my body's this way and his body's this way, like side mount. And my head was on the mat. So usually when you're standing up and someone hits you, your head can kind of go back and, there's nothing behind you. Like if my head was on the mat, like when someone hits you on the mat, there's nowhere for your head to go. So you take that blow,
you're
right?
taking the whole, yeah.
So I remember during one fight, I had my head on the mat, and this dude came down with just a hard right on my nose, and like it was thud. And I remember saying, ow. I said, please don't do that again. And he kind of looked at me and came down again and missed me. But like, that was one time where I was like, man, that really hurt. Like really, really hurt, right? But other than that, no, there wasn't a lot of rage and stuff like that just because it's a trained environment. Same thing with basketball or soccer. I mean, there could be times where, you do get rage from cheap shots or stuff like that.
Right.
But in MMA, like you're literally trying to fight, knock each other out, and submit each other.
So so you start renting out the cages.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that, right?
You start renting out the cages. You start having good years, just constantly every week or how?
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
Did that boom or?
Yeah, so it was really good. So I had all these people again calling me for fights, and I'd always undersell them with whoever they were renting from. So I was literally gone. I was gone every weekend, and during the week I was working my regular 9 to 5. And I told
you'd still work a regular.
Yeah, I worked a regular job. So I did personal fitness, and I worked at some other that appliance place. So yeah, I had my regular day job. We had our firstborn as well, my wife and I. She was part of our plans. She was going to finish college, and she did. She's an amazing woman and works very hard, and she went to college while pregnant as well. She went to graduated from University of Toledo. But yeah, I told myself, I said, hey, I'm going to work as hard as I can while I'm young because I have the energy and the drive versus I don't want to work as hard as it when I get older, right? Work smarter, right? So yeah, I was working a lot. Like I can tell you what, I was working 80 hours a week, So the cage rental was going really well.
Yeah.
Because again, it was really expensive at that time to buy a cage when people were just having 2 fights a year. So
did you pay off the loans with all that?
I did.
Started paying off all the loans.
Yep. So I reinvested. So I was very frugal with my money. I always saved it, reinvested into it, paid off certain things because debt is good sometimes, right? Especially with real estate. But we ended up being rented out for the cages almost every single weekend. And I ended up buying 2 cages because we were so busy. Wow. Yeah, it was awesome, right? But it was a lot of work because if one cage was in Illinois and another cage was in Michigan, I had to make sure.
Yeah. And you were doing both.
Yep. I'd hire a crew to go one place and I'd go another place. But if, shit hits the fan, I got to, go all over the place and stuff like that.
Drive out there.
And so, we ended up overtaking the market, and I ended up working with ESPN.
Wow.
Yeah. So I ended up working with ESPN. They had it was called Onion Sports, like a comedy show to make fun of sports, but it wasn't real athletes that were, famous NBA, MLBs. It was just skits.
Yeah.
And so they did an MMA skit and they rented my cage. It was pretty cool. Went to New York on that. I worked with Comedy Central I worked with Tyler Perry production.
Really?
Yeah, so they set up my cage, and it was called Alex Cross was the movie. And we went to Detroit.
What is it?
Alex Cross.
Like a I?
Yeah.
Alex?
Alex
Oh, Alex. I'm
Cross.
gonna have to go watch that.
So
and
it
your
was
cage is in it.
Yeah, so it was set up in an abandoned church in Detroit, and like you walk in this building because I had to make sure we could set up the cage because it was abandoned, and you walk in this church and it was beautiful, but it was very dark because there's nothing in there like electricity wise. But it's in the middle of the day and there's holes in the roof and there's rays of sunlight coming down and speckles of dust kind of just floating around over the pews, and it was beautiful, you know?
Yeah, added like that touch of like
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
And so we set up our cage in the middle of this place where the light's coming down, and of course they set it up for production afterwards.
Like a Rocky type of movie.
Yeah, and so like the beginning part of the movie is like underground fights. Like it was pretty sweet, right? So they rented out my cage for a while. So like we, based on our marketing that we did with the online websites back in the day, we were able to get clients that were reaching out on a higher level.
What years were you working with like ESPN, Comedy Central?
Probably
like
05, 6, 7, probably, yep. So it got to a point where a lot of my clients were part of the underground, unsanctioned events. So because I was very well in tuned with everything going on in the business world of MMA at the time, I was told by higher officials that these states were going to be sanctioned, meaning the bodies were going to come through to governing them, where they have to be more legit, pay taxes, submit everything, versus anybody and their mother could put on a fight, right? So that means it's way more expensive to put on a fight.
Yeah.
And you had to, claim all the tickets and sales like legit, right? You had to submit records.
Yeah, probably
makes it different.
Health department would probably be on your ass.
EMS as well had to be. So like, there's so many rules, but it made it way more expensive.
Yeah.
So I found out that this was going to be happening, and we needed insurance at that time, and I was like, okay, we need to figure out something. And I decided to sell my cages, and I got top dollar for them. And
at this point, they're probably what, 35, 40?
No. I'm only 26.
26,000? Yeah.
No, like, 26 years old, 27 years old.
I meant at this time, if they were 25,000 way back.
Oh, they depreciated.
Oh, they did?
They
Okay.
did, yep. So they depreciated because I probably didn't say this. So as you're seen as being successful, there's more people that want to copy what you're doing.
Okay.
So more people started buying cages as well and try to copy what we did, which is fair, right?
Yeah, yep.
So with all those variables coming into play, I wanted to sell it, and I sold it for pretty much almost the same cost as what I bought them for.
Yeah.
Which is very good after.
Yeah, exactly. After how much you've made exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I sold them, and then I joined the railroad, Norfolk Southern, as a conductor. So I got a real big boy job. Yeah, completely different, right? So I got a real big boy job in the corporate world, got health benefits, retirement benefits, because again, we needed healthcare, right? And I still had all these people calling me, Josh, can you rent your cage out? Can you have fighters and stuff?
Yeah.
So again, I was like, oh man, here we are again. What am I going to do with all these, opportunities that are there?
Yeah.
So I would go to, West Virginia for a fight, and it could be Crazy Bob's, MMA fights, and I could go to Indiana, and it could be Butcher Bob's crazy
it was like
fights.
that, like the Redneck Brawl or whatever that's happening.
Exactly, right? So there was all these different leagues in these different cities. And when I was renting all these cages, everybody wanted a title fight because that's what sells, But all these title fights, they were using the same belt. So they're all using the same belt, which was a boxing belt. And so I started paying attention to this because somebody would come up to me because they would know us because we were around everywhere. They'd come up to us and they'd be like, oh, I won this championship belt. And I'm like, cool, bro. You know what I mean? Like hyping them up and everything.
Right.
although I'm not going to be like, hey, I just saw that belt, you know, like a couple hours over in a different city. Like that don't mean nothing because he's got the same belt.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not going to say that, but I'm like, I'm catching on,
Mm-hmm.
and all these fighters are excited. So to skip ahead, I was like, man, I'm going to start making belts to separate all these MMA promotions so they can have, you know, so the belt would mean more for their clients, for their fighters, right? To separate the promotions from everybody else. Because I had all these people calling me saying, Josh, man, this is what I need, this is what I need. And I'm like, I don't have anything for you.
Yeah.
But I had to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I started making championship belts.
You know, when I remember when you told me you made championship belts, and you know, and I knew you from Glass City Wranglers and just other, and the first initial thought was, that's super random but cool, like you know what I mean? Like, so it's crazy how it all connects now.
Yeah, like everything that we've done in our life has been, you know, like you have I kind of think of it as like a tree, right? You have your trunk, you have your foundation, right? Which could be sports and my, you know, just the way I am, right? And then as you go up the trunk of the tree, then you have all these different branches, which that would be, for example, like you have plan A, which is like your go-to plan A. That's the trunk, right? And then as you get up, you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? Those are your other routes. With if A doesn't work out, you have to alter it. And so that's how I've always been, is have, if plan A doesn't work out, I still have something that's similar to following the path. I'm just have to take a different route. But yeah, like everything is connected, right? So I was making championship belts, right? Designing them, calling people and say, this is what I'm going to do for you. It's going to be great. Trust me, you know, which they already did.
Yeah.
And I was figuring out that business and marketing, advertising. Again, that's very important.
What did Jess say when you came home and said, hey, I'm going to start making championship belts?
She was just like, okay. She's like, because I don't know if I mentioned this, but what I was like, hey, Jess, I'm going to buy, and I said, I'm going to buy a cage for $25,000. You know, when we were super young, when I told her this, like she should have left me because we had no money, right? But she loved me, believed in me, trusted me, and she thought I was crazy. But she's like, hey, I'm in it with you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm here. And so when I came to this idea with doing the belts, there wasn't a major startup cost like those were, but there was startup costs and everything. Right. But it's like, it was like, she was like, okay, you know what I mean? Okay. And so I was working for the railroad, which if you know anything about working as a conductor for the railroad, there's no schedule. You're on call 24/7. So if it's 11 o'clock at night and I'm getting ready to go to bed and my phone rings, I have to go to work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it sucks. And they pay you very well because they basically own you, where you have to work for them whenever that phone rings. Now, there's a little bit of rules in there and everything, but like it's very hard to have a regular life, like a 9-to-5 a schedule. But it worked very well for me, which is why I took it, because I could work all day on my business and then my phone rings and it's like, hey, you got to go to work.
Yeah.
What do? I get it done because I'm young, I'm hungry.
And when you go to work, they tell you how many hours you got to work?
No.
Or it's like a set 8-10 hours?
Yeah, it's the most you can work is 12 based on the federal law for them. Sometimes you get stuck in a place where you're still on the clock, but you physically can't work. You can't sleep when you're on the job either. So even though if you're in the middle of nowhere on a train, you can't sleep. But it was good for me because I was able to work a lot with my businesses, and then I could also work and have healthcare insurance and all that stuff, steady income, right?
Yeah.
So it got to the point where I needed steady income, I needed health insurance to be able to fund and build my businesses up. So all the money I'd make with the railroad, I'd reinvest it into myself. Yeah. Right. I just want to pocket it, I'd reinvest it into different ways. And so I did that for 5 years. So I worked the railroad for 5 years while working and making belts. And so
until like 2010-ish?
Yeah.
2011?
Yep.
Maybe?
And so like when you're working on the railroad, you're so tired because again, you work in all these different crazy hours that even though you may be present in your family's life, you're mentally not there because you're so tired. And so you miss a lot of things, when you're working on this railroad with these hours.
Yeah.
You're missing birthdays, you're missing holiday events as well, because if they call, you have to go. But that's why they pay you so well.
Yeah.
So it's not a very good lifestyle for everyone. But there's
benefits and
there is, yeah. But it was very good for me.
yeah.
So I actually got into the railroad because I wanted to be in the management. I wanted to be in the management position, but there was no immediate position for the railroad with management when I joined. And so they said, hey, just start as a conductor and work your way up. Because once you're in, right? But after learning about the railroad, it didn't fit my lifestyle very well. But I still knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I still wanted to be completely self-employed. Yeah. So I had to just work a lot. So I remember one time I just got off the train, and I promise you I worked like 8 hours for my business during the day, and then I just worked a 12-hour night shift, and I got into the hotel in Pennsylvania to stay because we took a train there. Dead tired. My cell phone was my business line at the time. And I look at my cell phone ringing at like 9 a.m, and it was like one of those phones that has like the green screen, you know what I mean? Like just real simple.
Yeah.
And it said Aflac.
Like a flip.
Yeah. Yeah, and it said Aflac, and I was like, okay, I got Aflac insurance. Let me see what they want. And they said, hey, and I said, hey, I already have insurance, so I'm good, I like you guys. So I hung up. And then a minute later, the phone rings again, and it's Aflac. And I'm like, okay, so, hey, what's up? Hey, do you make belts? And I'm like, yeah, did I do something wrong? They're like, no. We want a belt for our top sales insurance person, right? Like, we want a belt, and we were told to call you. And can you make a belt for us? And I'm like, no, I only make MMA belts, I don't do that stuff. I don't know how. So I hung up. Tired as can be, right?
Yeah.
5 minutes later, my phone rings, like I just laid down, and I get up and look, and it was Aflac again. I'm like, what the heck? Answer it. They're like, hey, do you know anybody that can make us a belt? Since you make belts and there's not many people that make these belts. And I was like, I can. I was like, I can do this for you. They're like, well, how many sales awards have you made? I'm like, 100.
Was it this?
And that was like, I'll figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's the opportunity. But I wasn't in tune because I was so tired, right? But I remember that story. And so I made them an Aflac belt. They sent me pictures back of it. They absolutely loved it. And I was like, okay, now I need to market it different.
Yeah.
Because again, I was in the game, right? Like, if you're not in the game, you're not going to have those opportunities.
Yeah.
And you may not see those opportunities, but you have to be in the game to be able to get those big opportunities, right?
Yeah.
And so Aflac, still a client to this day, 15 years later. We started making MMA belts. We started making fantasy football belts. We had Shark Tanks call us, wanted to be on Shark Tanks as well, and I said not to, just because we were fine. We didn't need an investor.
Really?
Yeah. So then
Shark Tank. That's crazy.
Yep. So they want us to go on there, which should I, would have, could have, maybe. I don't know, but I just chose not to.
Did you not see belts as like a long term?
No, I did. We didn't need, like, you go on Shark Tank to
find investment
and maybe take it to a bigger level.
Yeah.
I didn't want to take it to a bigger level.
Right. Okay.
I was comfortable, and again, that could be a bad thing or a good thing, but I was comfortable, like, we're good. Like, I don't want more overhead, more headache, more employees at this time.
Because now you're mass producing belts.
Yeah, and I was like, we're good, right? And so I eventually got to a point where I quit the railroad. Hardest decision of my life, because you're taking a high-paying job with insurance, like everything your family needs.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, I'm going solo. Now what? Now what do I do? Well, I figured it out. I had plans, of course, but then my wife and I went completely self-employed, and her and I work full-time together.
One thing I really like about your story that I've heard so far is the fact that you were still working a 9 to 5 and investing in yourself. Because these days you see online and you hear these stories of, I dropped out of college or I invested in myself, and people think like that means don't work a 9 to 5 and just go full force into whatever you're doing. I mean, for some it may work, but you know, I like the fact that you're like, no, I still work the 9 to 5
Yeah.
because people need to hear that. Like, yeah, you still have to
Yeah,
make money. Like, don't
man.
think that, you know, just because you're saying, oh, I'm going to go all in for my investment in myself, that it means that you're not going to work anywhere else. You need to still live and, you know, be able to pay bills or whatever the case. You know, and I think that's like a big like misconception about like being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm going to drop everything and just go for it.
Man, that's so tough. Yeah. And then people are super excited when they come to me and say, hey, I got this idea, you know, or I want to do this or I'm doing this. And it's like, that's awesome. You know, that really is. But how are you going to fund that? You know, do you have an investor? Are you taking out a loan? Or should you continue to work your regular job and just work those late hours out of your garage to say like, I'm really invested in this. I'm not going to let this fail.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's super hard, as you know, to start up a business, start up a side hustle. And it's just not, hey, I'm going all in. It is, I'm doing this on the side, and it's going to take many years to eventually build it up. And I need to work a regular job. And I shouldn't say regular. You just need to work a stable job.
Exactly.
Because sometimes something may come up and you're like, man, I got to front $5,000. How am I going to pay for this? And then make my mortgage and make my car payments and pay, you know what I mean? But if you have that stable income, then that reassures like, man, I'm okay when bills come up because you're trying to figure things out in the beginning and buy inventory and overhead, you know, you buy all that stuff, right? Yeah, but you definitely just can't go all in by itself and expect clients to come in. You know, we went from having a couple clients a month for a couple years to having 10 clients a month for a couple years to having 40 clients a month. Like, it takes a while to build that up. And it's nice, kind of like we were talking earlier, like after you're like around 50 years old, you're compounding everything. But it's all those decisions you made before that consistency, that being persistent and stuff. You know
Those
what I
like
mean?
little decisions have became big, made a big impact over time.
Little changes have big results, you know?
Before we talk about Glass City Wranglers.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh my gosh.
Before we talk about the Glass City Wranglers, how many belts do you make now a year?
So we make probably about 30 a month.
Okay.
Yep. So we make about 30 a month, and it can be, you know, like I'm making belts for the NBA teams. I'm making them for NFL teams. I'm not making them for man caves.
I saw you
I'm
made,
making it for them, you know.
What NBA teams have you made belts for?
The Raptors.
Did you get to meet Drake?
I didn't, man. That'd be sweet. But we also made him a chain. We
Hey
made
Drake, if you see this,
hey, yo, man, hit me up. Yeah. So we made Drake. We made the spinning chain for the Raptors and their belt.
I
and
saw
right
that.
now, all over their social medias, the spinner, the chain is all over their social medias everywhere. After every game, they award it. They take pictures of it. They flex, man. It's
That's
everywhere.
crazy.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. But again, like I've been doing this 15 years. Like I just didn't start saying, hey, the NBA hit me up and was like, yo,
yeah,
you know, it's been years and years of customer service, client relations, you know, over delivering in a good way, you know, going above and beyond, making the adjustments on figuring what works, what doesn't work.
yeah,
You know, taking a loss, taking an L and saying, how do I twist this to have something good come about this? Because I'm not here just for today. I'm here for the long run.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. And so you've got Aflac, you've got NBA.
Ooh, we got a lot. Yeah, like, I mean, almost every business we've made some type of product for them, or that type of industry we've made some type of product.
Where do you see it going? Like just like the belts thing.
I think it's as big as it's ever going to be, which is okay.
Yeah,
Because-
you like it as like a side hustle type of.
Well, it's actually
Or would
full
it be-
time.
yeah.
Yeah, it really is full time.
Yeah.
I would like it as a side hustle. I'd like to, you know, help my kids take it over, because we have a specialty service, specialty craft that not many can do, and we have a really good reputation. And so,
Yeah.
even during COVID, we were selling things. I shouldn't say selling. We were making products for the military for awards. You know, because COVID, everything shut down. Like we make products for events, you know, celebrations.
Yeah.
So COVID was shut down everything, but we still had we still had the military calling us. We were shipping products overseas to different bases for, like motivation pieces, retirement gifts.
And by the way, these are custom made belts.
Yeah, these are custom. These are
if
heavy.
you go online and Google, belts, you could find.
Pro-Am belts.
You could probably find common like Amazon ones, but these are like you design them.
Yeah.
Can you explain? So you design you
okay.
custom
So
make them.
I got you. So we make the high end heavy duty belts. There's a lot of other companies that have seen what we've done and try to replicate it and make very cheap, inexpensive ones, which is okay. It's okay. And we thought about doing that, but that would separate us from what our roots are, and that's making really nice belts.
Yep.
And then we also do make affordable ones, but we just don't make the cheap plastic ones.
Right.
And so, I design them, and we get clients' approvals or reviews or changes, and then we work with about 10 different tool and die companies, and, depending on what is what and what's needed, when and why.
Yeah.
And then we also then put them together ourselves. So it's a process. But again, I've learned this over the many years, depending if someone needs something in 2 weeks, I'm going to get it done. Like if the NBA calls me up and, one of the teams like, hey, I need something in 2 weeks, I'm going to get it done. It's going to be super expensive, but that's just kind of the game.
Yeah.
Versus if they say, hey, I need it in 6, 7, 8 weeks, it's going to be a lot lesser in cost because of all the things,
right.
you're
being
not custom made.
Rushing,
Yeah.
And I have two of them, and they're well, you gave me one, and I had ordered one before.
Yeah.
But the one, like, you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can tell yours is heavy. Even when the chain that you gave me,
Yeah.
heavy ass chain.
Yeah,
I'm like,
man,
what
it brings excitement. You know what I'm
Like,
saying?
what the
Like
hell?
people go, we had people, like we make it for events where they award, a couple $1,000s for like first place. And they also give them a belt. And like, we've had those people reach out and be like, yo, man, I was more excited for the belt than I was for the cash, man. And so like, I'm not saying that, like the cash is super nice, but the concept that they're like relating the really heavy product that we make to being similar to a couple $1,000s, even though it may not cost that much, is really nice. Because like when people get our product, they're like, man, this is super heavy. This feels like the real deal. And it's all over social media. It brings a lot more memories to the event, to winning the award. And so that is something that we market.
Yep.
Like how do we, like a big gold belt.
It's a feeling.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
even like, the sales guys, like every month someone will be assigned the belt, right?
Yeah.
The sales guy of the month.
Yeah.
And they love it. They take a picture with it. Like we'll mess around like in the sales chat, like, yeah, like I got the belt, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a feeling. And
It is. The feeling is great. And that's something I've learned over time with marketing is you're marketing to sell something, but you're actually selling emotions. Like you want to sell that positive, you want to spell that positive vibe, that energy, that excitement, right? And so like when somebody, like the basketball, okay? I'm trying to sell our basketball team meaning I want people to come to our games, right? That's what I'm trying to sell. People to come to our games. It's very easy to sell, a basketball game to a child with a mascot there because of just the children are very outgoing and they're excited to be there. Just, I don't know how to explain it in exact words other than it's a lot harder to sell that to an adult.
Yeah.
So how do I sell our basketball product, our team, our environment to an adult, right? Well, that's the marketing, right? So what we did with our basketball is we connected with the community. Like we're the Glass City Wranglers, and I want people to figure out how to identify themselves with the Wranglers.
Yeah.
And there's no exact rhyme or reason to say this is exactly what the Wranglers with an S is connected with Toledo, but people can find their way, right? And also, when they're at our games, my mascot is a big yellow duck.
Yeah.
And everybody's putting these little ducks on dashboards of cars.
Yep.
And that's a tradition that was started in Toledo. And so that's marketing that we do. So our mascot's a big yellow duck. Our mascot also dances like Michael Jackson. So adults know more about Michael Jackson and great memories of being younger.
Right.
And who doesn't like Michael Jackson
Right,
with the
exactly.
dance moves, right? And so that's marketing, right? And then the connection with Toledo all makes sense once people start.
Toledo, Jeep Wrangler, Duck.
Yep. Even though we're not Jeep, like
Yeah.
we have no affiliation with Jeep at all.
Right.
We're the Wranglers, which could also mean like
Did you have like Jeep in mind when it was or was it just like, or was that the name that came with?
that was the name
team?
that kind of came with it because I wanted to provide a way for people to find their own identity within our organization.
Okay.
And so like Toledo's a tough town, man. Like people, you know, I mean, they work really hard, you know, and you know, the word wranglers, you know, like we're out there, you know, we're trying to get some stuff done. You know, we're trying to figure things out and bring things together. So we're wranglers, you know, bringing things together. But also, I have to worry about people having fun at our games, having an experience. And so Wranglers also has another identity where we're going to start tying in a Western theme. That's not common around here. So when people come to our games and we may have a Western night and we're doing a bunch of Wranglers with Western Wranglers, Cowboys nights, and these kids can experience maybe the day in the life of being a cowboy, dressing up a cowboy, shooting some Nerf guns and, you know, lassoing a bull and kind of like a rodeo. That experience I think is going to be beautiful because it's not something normal that they can have around here. And so then they're able to identify that and have these new feelings, these new experiences. But again, it's how they identify with our organization. So I don't want to be limited. And so that's what I want to do with the marketing is have this word that you have 10 different people in a room and everybody can connect to this word or organization in a different way.
Yes.
And that's part of the marketing. How do we sell that? How do we get the emotions involved?
And kind of going back to Glass City, how did it even begin?
Okay, so I started playing basketball again because I stopped MMA.
Yep.
So I stopped MMA. My kids were getting older, and they started playing sports, and I was coaching them. And so the MMA training and gyms were more of a hobby because the business was making the belts and stuff. So I stopped, closed my gym, and and there was a good year after I closed my gym where my wife was like, "You're really mean, you're really short-tempered," and I found out it was because I didn't have competition in my life. You know, I wasn't, you know, I was used to training all this time and training our athletes, being in the gym, you know, we say it, sparring and, you know, competing within a practice organization, right? And I stopped that, like cold turkey went, you know?
Yeah.
And so I didn't have any competition. I didn't have no outlet. And I looked into mental health and, you know, the benefits of it, and realized I needed to compete.
Yeah.
So I started playing basketball again. And so I started playing again. And, you know, after a couple of years of playing, I started getting a little bit better again after taking 10 years off of playing basketball. And my mental health got a lot better because I was out there competing and having fun. You know what I mean? Just going out there and chopping up with your boys and getting a good workout in. And so I got invited to, I used to go to a lot of open gyms. You know what open gyms are?
Yep.
Okay, so you go to this, you know, sometimes a bunch of buddies that go to the gym and you hoop.
Yep.
Or you know, you hear about it and you go to a gym and you don't know anybody there and then it's, you know, you just run up and down the court to, you know, games at 12, 13, 40, whatever it is, open gyms, right? So I go to this, I got asked to go to this open gym out in Point Place, and I'm like, cool, I'll go. I don't know anybody there, but whatever. I'm looking to get a workout in.
Yeah.
And I'm like 5'11" or maybe I'm 5'9" now, right?
Competitive rage out.
Yeah. So, you know, so I'm like 5'9" now. You know, I'm at that age where I'm, you know, getting shorter, you know. And I walk in this gym, and as soon as I open up this door, I'm opening up this door like, yeah, what's up? You know, I'm here, you know, because I'm pretty good. And I open up this door, and I like pause, and I almost like drop my bag. And everybody turns around and looks at me. And I'm like, you know, like a deer in headlights now. And I'm looking, and it's nothing but like 6'5", black dudes everywhere. And I'm like the only short white dude in the gym. And I'm like, okay, this is different, but whatever. I've been here before, you know what I'm saying? So like I go in there and the one gentleman walks up to me, Freddie Zamora walks up to me, was like, hey, thanks for coming out. We're this is who we are. We're the.
So Freddie was there.
Freddie, yeah. So Freddie was the coach, and him and his brother, started up this team 6 years ago. And he's like, hey, we need some bodies to run sets or plays, so our guys can practice because we're low on numbers, and they had games coming up or something like that. And I was like, cool, you know what I mean? So like I went out there and just kind of did my thing, and after that practice, Freddie comes up to me and kind of gets to know me a little bit better, and he found out who I was, my past with business and sports, and it got to a point where Freddie needed extra help with running the business because Freddie coached.
Yeah,
Freddie was a great coach, but it's completely different running the business. Like it's hard to wear all the hats, and so he said, "Hey," he said, "We are not going to make it unless we have somebody who can actually take over the team and rebrand everything and get us out of the."
So the team was his, or
the team was his, and it was an amateur team. They played in a league, an amateur league called PBL. They went undefeated. They got a key to the city, and it was great. And then they got asked to go into this pro league, which came with a big cost.
Yep.
And the athletes were paid. And so again, like if you don't have that rainy day fund, that stuff adds up quick.
Yeah.
And at this level, it is very expensive. And so Freddie was doing a very good job, but it takes a lot more than just the coaching part.
Right.
And I had the experience because I don't know if I told you this, I used to promote the MMA fights. Yeah, there was a point in time, like I got lost, but I used to put on the MMA fights.
Yeah.
And so I have a very good history with promoting sports. And so Freddie asked me, he said, hey, we need some really good things that you can provide and take this and run with it. And I went back home and talked with the wife, and she said, absolutely, let's try it because of many variables. And I'll tell you, Toledo's the number 2 city in the nation for minor league sports.
Yep.
The Mud Hens and Walleye have paved the way. They're amazing organizations. They paved the way. Also, we're not in a city that's competing with an NBA team, just like the Mud Hens and Walleyes aren't competing with, the Tigers or the Indians, right? Or the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah.
So the city is perfect for another minor league sports franchise.
Yeah.
So that was one of the big reasons why I was like, and my wife was like, yeah, let's do this.
Wide open.
Let's do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to take some time. So that's how that came about. And then, we rebranded, changed things up, and
was it called the Glass City Wranglers?
It was called Toledo Basketball Club.
Toledo
BC Basketball Club, kind of like a European thing.
Think you'll ever make it Toledo Ice?
So there was a Toledo Ice. That was
I know that. I know.
I don't think I will because I think the ice was amazing with what it was back in the day.
Yeah.
And there actually is a youth program that's the Toledo Ice as well. I think that one of the gentlemen's might have been involved with the ice back in the day, and now he's a little bit older and has kids potentially. But I know there's a Toledo Ice AAU or travel program. But no, I like the Wranglers because of what we're doing with all the marketing and the stories that I get to hear from our fans that come to the game and they say, oh, I thought the Wranglers was about this and this, and I actually thought it was that. And I'm like, that's really cool. That's what we want. That's all right. You know what I mean? So we won't step on the toes of the Toledo Ice, but
and the games are super fun. Too.
Crazy fun now.
Like the games are exactly like.
So we are in our 5th year, and this is the first year that we're going to be downtown. So I've had a business plan from day one said, I want to be downtown by year 10. And here we are year 5 and we're downtown. And there's so much we've done the prior years to get here. Because a lot of people just see us play basketball, but as you know, there's so much behind the scenes. And we want to stay connected to our community. We want to get out there during the off season and, take care of our future generations as well.
And I've seen firsthand what you've done.
Oh, thanks.
And it's crazy. It's honestly like, I admire the hell out of you for that, because
Thanks, man.
It's like, business is one thing, right? But like a basketball team, and getting involved with the community and getting the community involved, you're asking people to come to an event, to take time out of their day, whether they're home from work or whatever, and people are showing up.
Yeah.
Which only means you're doing a great job at it.
No, I appreciate
and
that.
you're growing and you're going downtown, and so it's like, it's admirable, because
you,
it's
man.
like, building a business is more, for example, with me and Selena's, it's like, I'm in the office, I'm working, I'm like more like private conversations with networking, and it's not like you're asking the community to get, come together to watch this team.
Yeah.
So it's like a whole different, like, to me, just a whole different like mindset, and just a whole different.
It is like, I would not be in the position we're in right now unless all those things that we talked about beforehand happened. Like, everything has been, building up to be able to be in this position, because it's been extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And it's, go ahead.
And I was going to say, and I think people need to understand, people don't realize the work that you're putting in to make these events happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
And, until we don't talk about it and discuss it, people aren't going to realize how much work it takes. Because for us, we see, okay, there's a basketball game, right? And, it's easy to say, oh, I'll go next time.
Yeah.
But when you look at the hard work that you've put in, and when we talk about the hard work that you've put in, and not just put into the team, into the business, but also into giving back to the community.
Yeah.
Hopefully people will watch this and say, damn, no, we need to support what he's doing, because I have no doubt next couple of years it's going to grow massively.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And, we appreciate you, because like, you've been a big sponsor of ours, pretty much from almost day one, man. And like, we had, that's the beginning of a business where we don't have a lot to offer, a sponsor or partner. Like, there's not much. It's just maybe the conversations between me and you and the energy that I have, because the analytics aren't there in the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. I can't say, hey, Kevin Salinas, you're going to get 50,000 views on TV on day one.
Right.
But you were like-minded as me, and you saw the energy, you saw my vision after the conversations and everything. And it's taken amazing sponsors and partners like yourself for us to be able to have the opportunity to go downtown now. Mm-hmm. And that grind in the beginning is very difficult, because, we're trying to get people to come to our games, and there may not be a lot of content out there. Mm-hmm. And you're hearing no again and again. You're hearing no. Mm-hmm. You're hearing no. You're seeing no, because people aren't coming to the game. Or here's a true story. I remember we were giving out free tickets at the time of our first year, and I remember walking up to this couple, and I handed them, first I told them, like, hey, we're Glass City Rams, blah, blah, blah. I said, and we're playing here. Actually have a sponsor who gave us tickets to give out to the community, and here's, some free tickets, and come to the game, right? And so I handed them the tickets, right? And they're like, oh, cool, we'll be there and everything. And I was like, sweet. And so we both turned around and walked separate ways. And I remember looking over my shoulder, and they ended up dropping the tickets on the floor. Mm. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay. And I've been there before, you know what I mean? Like, that sucked, man. Yeah. Like, if I would have tried to do this or done this and started it 15 years ago, I would have stopped right there.
Yeah.
Because that's heartbreaking, you know what I mean? But I've been, I've worked hard and built my way up to where I'm at now. And I remember, seeing them drop those tickets, and I just was like, okay, that's all good. It is what it is. On to the next. You know what I'm saying? I'll figure it out. Yeah. And then, fast forward, to us being downtown, we're having those same conversations that I had 5 years ago, 4 years ago with these corporate sponsors, local businesses that are saying, Josh, I remember talking with you 4 or 5 years ago, and we're ready. Now we're ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're here to support you because of everything you've done, and I've had people say, if it wasn't you, Josh, I would not support your organization because of everything that we've seen you do. We know who you are in the community. We know who you are as a family-oriented person, and we love and how you over-deliver everything that you've said you were going to do. You know what I mean?
And honestly, like, I remember when me and you first sat down to talk about, Glass City Wranglers, and like, I don't know, I see like the fire in people's eyes when they talk about something, right? And that tells me whether they're passionate about it or whether this is like just another business or a job. And I saw the passion in your eyes. And for me, I'm like, if you have the passion for something, doors are going to open.
Yeah.
Luck's going to come in your, in your life about that certain passion, and things are going to happen. And like, that's what a lot of people, I think, fail to see.
Yeah.
When you have someone in front of you that is passionate about something, but once, and I get it, right? There's lots of like, it's like a common thing. There's lots of people out there right now that are, wanting to do something, but they don't have that passion for it. And you don't have the passion, you don't have the drive, you don't have the everything you need to make it successful. Yeah. So it's easy to say no, and it's also easy to feel what's the word I'm trying to say here? Like oh, this is just another person trying to sell something, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, like when we talked, I saw that in you. I saw that this wasn't just like another gig of yours, right? It was actually like something you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when you want to do something and you have the passion for it, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Sure. So I feel proud that, of the fact that I noticed that.
Oh, good. Okay.
And it's because I feel like I'm a good like people reader.
Yeah.
People will call, tell me all the time, oh, can we have a Zoom call? I'm like, no, I want you in person.
Yeah.
I want to talk in person.
I want to see those.
Because the facial expressions, everything will tell you a lot more about the person than what the person is saying.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, I just saw that, and that's what it makes me proud to be one of the first ones to open the door.
Yeah.
Because like now it's coming to life, right?
Yep.
And I feel like I'm able to sit on your corner and also not laugh, but like, have that feeling of like, like I told you motherfuckers I would make it happen, So that's what I think is cool about what you've built.
No, that's a great story. And I really appreciate that because I'm still that same way today. Like when I have these conversations with people, I'm very passionate, because I believe in my vision from day one. And here I am living it, So I've been saying this a lot to our athletes lately. But it goes back to, kind of what you mentioned about being doors opening is I'm a very talented person, and it just didn't happen overnight. But, talent opens doors, but accountability keeps those doors open. And so like when I'm trying to sell something, even if it's selling my energy, the face-to-face conversations, I'm having accountability because I am guaranteeing that those promises, those deals are going to happen because it's on me. And if adversity hits, I'm going to figure out a way to keep those doors open. I'm going to take accountability for that adversity because it ain't easy, in business.
Right.
I'm going to take accountability to keep those doors open. Yeah.
I like that.
Thanks, man.
That's I've never heard that one.
Yeah.
And it is so true though.
Yeah.
Because even like for me, like on a personal and like business level, when there's a customer that has issues or whatever, and my management team can't figure it out, I'll go and talk to that customer face to face. I'll say, hey, well, what's going on? Let me dive into this and see what's the full scope of everything, and let's figure this out.
Yeah.
It's that same accountability of like, no, like Kevin Salinas isn't gonna go hide somewhere. I'm gonna go to your house and we're gonna talk about the problem. We're gonna discuss where we went wrong as a service, and how we can work together to make this. Because sometimes like there's issues, if me and you have a disagreement, we start attacking each other.
Sure.
And I think that's what happens with the world today is we're attacking each other instead of saying, hey, wait, this isn't the problem. The problem is that we're disagreeing on X thing. Why don't we see eye to eye and see how we can fix that? That's the problem.
True.
Instead of like, you know what I'm saying? Like start name calling or whatever because, but yeah, I really like what you just said about accountability.
Thanks, yeah.
And I've got some questions here, just for people to understand Glass City Wranglers a little bit better. But so if you had to explain the Glass City Wranglers vibe in one word to someone who's never been to a game, what would it be?
I only get one word.
Say one sentence.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Family fun for all ages. Like it's an experience you will or have not experienced before. Mm-hmm. I can keep going, but you said one sentence.
You keep going.
So like when someone comes to our game, I guarantee they are going to leave our game with a smile on their face. They're going to have so much fun. So we have really good basketball. Like the product of basketball is great. Our guys are only fractions away from the NBA. We have guys that have gone overseas to play professional basketball. Like these aren't guys just straight out of high school. These are guys that have competed at a high Division I level, or played pro balls overseas. Yeah. And then they're in between seasons, right? And for example, we signed a 7-footer. I mean, crazy tall, right? Yeah. And so we're gonna have a lot of dunks. We're gonna have a lot of high pace energy at our games. But it's really what I do with the fan engagements. Mm-hmm. And so now with us being downtown, mm-hmm. we're in a professional venue mm-hmm. where all these prior years we've had these ideas that we can now implement because we're in a professional venue. We have more eyes on us. Mm-hmm. We formed a dance team as well. So the dance team, like cheerleaders, right? But hype squad dance team. And the director of our dance team danced for the NBA and the WNBA. Mm. And so what she's able to bring with our dance team, which is called the Glass City Gems, the fall in line with glass,
Mm-hmm.
So Glass City Gems, they're going to bring a lot more energy to the game, to the crowd, to be able to encourage that excitement. Because like positive energy is very contagious. You know what I mean? Like if you're in an environment right now, so let's say there's 100 people in this room and everybody's cheering, mm-hmm. You're going to cheer. Right?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But if it's dead quiet in here, who's going to be the first one to scream out? Well, I don't know. But like if everybody is having a really good time, that energy is very contagious. And that's what our gems are going to be doing, mm-hmm. is leading the crowd because there's so much. There's going to be so much energy there with all the dancing, the freebies that we're giving out, the competitiveness of, the away team versus, of course, the Toledo Glass City team. And so when they come to one of our games, they're going to be able to now, get a hot dog and a beer, bring their kids, bring their grandparents, whoever it is, like anybody that comes to our game, there's going to be something for them. And it's downtown,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another reason to go downtown.
100%.
The what's something fans don't realize that goes into running a minor league team?
It's a lot about putting the right people, and those could be athletes, putting the right people in the right positions. At the end of the day, all of our staff and athletes are real people, and we want to be able to make the best choices with who is part of our organization. Sometimes, for example, if a person's in a position of employment, that may not be the best opportunity for them based on their skill sets. Mm-hmm. And so we still treat this like a business and put people in the right positions. And so that's kind of been one of the hardest thing is finding out who people are based on their resume, based on performances. Mm-hmm. And then even sometimes with athletes, like sometimes certain athletes don't work and fit our agenda with how we get in the community, how we are on camera, how we say specific things to maybe youth or, people in the community. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of it is really figuring out who we are as an identity.
Yeah.
And then getting those right athletes and staff to believe in that identity and be able to get out there in the community and spread the awareness.
If you could steal one thing from another Toledo sports franchise, what would it be?
Shoot, man. I don't know. I don't know if I could really steal anything because we're really trying to mimic, everything that we see that the Mud Hens and Walleyes do respectfully, like mimic them because
Yeah.
they're an amazing organizations. They do everything, top tier. If I could steal one thing, it would be all their fans that are, coming to our, games.
Yeah.
Because everybody that goes to their games are always smiling, cheering, and having a great time. And that's what we're that's what we're replicating right now.
Okay. 5 years from now, when people talk about the Glass City Wranglers, what do you hope they say?
I hope they say, Jess, my wife and I, Jess, we want to have a legacy, and our legacy is pretty simple. We want people to say like, Josh and Jess are really good people, and they care about the community. It's not about money. It's not because we have our different jobs, but we want people to say, hey, Josh and Jess are really good people. We want to be associated with them.
Yeah. I like also what you just said, it's not about money.
Yeah.
Because, I think people need to understand that this isn't like a business gig for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Nope.
I think at least that's what
Yes.
that's what the vibe that you give me.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
a multi-million-dollar maker.
No, because as you get older, your perspectives change. You know what I mean? So like when you're young, like in the mid young 20s, I was working 7 days a week, 80 hours a week. You're really just trying to make money and make ends meet.
Yeah.
And you don't really know your identity besides like, I'm struggling. What am I going to do to get ahead? And then eventually when you get, maybe to where I'm at and you feel like you're a little bit ahead, your perspective change where it's like, well, what, like I know tons of people that have a lot of money and they may not be happy, right? And so I know everybody's heard this before, but like money doesn't buy happiness. And so like what we do with the Glass City Wranglers really helps us sleep good at night. Like meaning we smile, we have fun, like we're content with that because we're doing good. You know what I mean? Like your objectives change as you get older. Because again, it's not always about like, oh, I need to work every single day of the week to make all this money. And then you reach your goal and you're like, now I need to make more money. Now I need to make more money. You know what I mean? So like everything really changes as you get older and life kind of hits you,
The I know it's not good to, like you said, it's not good to look at comments, but I'm actually going to talk about a comment that I saw.
Okay.
Under one of the Glass City posts. It was someone was commenting. I think you posted something along the lines of like, hey, go to StubHub. It's like $12 or $15 a ticket. How much are they? 12 or
So
15?
so tickets can be bought on Ticketmaster.
Okay.
It could be through our website as well. And you can actually buy tickets at the Huntington Center's box office.
Okay.
Because we partnered with Huntington Center.
Okay.
So if you buy them at the box office, they are $15 for general admission. And then they charge a $2 service charge for taxes as well.
Yeah.
Because all of it's accounted for because, again, we're a professional organization. We have to pay taxes on it, right?
Right.
So it'll be $17 at the box office for general admission. Floor seats, the VIP floor seats are $25, which comes out to $27 at the box office or at the door, which is the same thing. Now, if you buy it on Ticketmaster, it's like a 15%, 20% service charge.
Yeah.
So that $15 ticket on Ticketmaster may be $19.
Okay.
But that's going to really help out with people who are trying to, scam tickets and everything. And plus it keeps, it puts us in a position where somebody that's looking at us from the outside who may have never heard about us before, they can do a couple things. They can see that we're a professional organization working with all ticket platforms, working with Huntington Center. They can also see that we're downtown in a professional venue.
Yep.
And they can also look us up online and see 4 years of great history, documentation to say, hey, I've never heard of them. All these things line up. This is awesome. We need to go there.
Yeah.
And so that was the concept of also why we partnered with the Huntington Center, with the box office, with all these ticket platforms as well. It's still very affordable. Like if you go to the NBA game, you're paying $400, $500. You know what I mean?
And one of exactly.
Yeah.
In one of the comments, and I didn't really read into it like that because if I see something negative, I'll just kind of like skip through
same.
it.
Yeah.
but it was like, oh, are the tickets going to start getting super expensive now that you're downtown? And I think that the thing said $15, so, in my mind, obviously that I'm like, that's inexpensive.
Yeah.
But it could be expensive to somebody.
Yep.
What would you tell, someone, who I guess, thinks, that,
Yeah, so I see what you're saying. So like what we are going to show our fans is that there is, that $15 or $17 ticket is really worth $100. Because when they come to one of our games, in the experience that they have at our game, they're going to say, man, that wasn't bad for all this fun that I had. My kids are having a great time. They're saying, hey, when can we come back? We took amazing pictures. We had great memories we just formed. And it was almost under, family of four under $65 to go to a professional organization and have a really good time.
Dad can have a beer, boys can have popcorn. Like,
you know what I mean? So like maybe the initial sticker shock, because this is the first time we're downtown.
Yeah.
But as the season goes by and we capture more content, more documentation, and we can, advertise, market that, then the value is going to be seen a lot clearer compared to prior fans that have been to our games and say, that's an extremely good deal because I've been to one of their games. I get what's going on, But yeah, so once they come to one of our games and then sees the value behind it and be like, okay, that wasn't so bad.
Right.
That was good.
What's the best and the worst part of being a team owner?
Everything is on my shoulders. Like everything, no matter what happens, I take accountability for it. And I have to make things right if somebody said the wrong thing, if they do the wrong thing, and so I really have to micromanage everything. It's not that I want to micromanage, it's because we've done so much to invest our time and money into this product that we want to make sure that we can train everybody to do the absolute best that they can within our business, because this is my wife and I's, this is who we are. Our business is really a replica of who we are as a family, as individuals. And so we have to micromanage in a positive way, very positive way, to make sure our identity stays the same as it's been from day one. And that's a very difficult thing to do. And it gets easier as we've grown. But from the beginning, it's very difficult to have certain conversations where it could be with people within our organization and we saying, this isn't working out for us. We love you as a person and, a friend. But unfortunately, this isn't working out. We have to do better because that's part of business, unfortunately. But that doesn't change, it doesn't change our relationship, even though it does.
I get a feeling, that you're doing this, that the Glass City Wranglers is a passion-driven project or program, organization. But I also get the feeling that you're also doing it for Toledo, for the community. There's always that like selfishness of like doing this for yourself,
for sure.
But it feels like it's like maybe like a 60% for the community, 40% for as a passion.
That's a good ratio. You know what I mean? Yeah, we definitely do it for ourselves as well. Because we have to find different reasons to and sometimes just wake up every day, right? I mean, we have our family, but I mean, we're getting older, right? So things have changed. But yeah, so like we really want to give back to the community. And when we're out in the community, like today we're going to an elementary school this afternoon, and we're in front of these kids, and these kids have the biggest smiles on their face. That means something, right? And if I can tell one kid and even one adult, hey, I believe in you. Hey, man, I love what you're doing. You're important to us. That changes everything. They could hear no 99 times, and then that one time I'd say, yes. That could change someone's lives, and we've seen that, which is very powerful. I've seen our athletes struggle with, just the daily grind, right? And we try to mend them in the best way, guide them, and we see and hear and have our athletes come back to us and say, hey, thank you, Josh. Thank you, Jess. Like, you've really changed my life. You've helped me tremendously. Different way of thinking, different way of taking accountability.
Yeah.
Now maybe they're a better father, better friend, a better business entrepreneur, employee, whatever. I mean, so there's more than just playing that basketball game. Yeah, we're definitely doing something big for the community.
If you could picture, I don't know if you have an end goal, or a picture of an end goal, what would it be for Glass City?
Our end goal is, similar to the Mud Hens and Walleyes. Like I believe part of our business plan is building and having our own facility. The Glass City Center is amazing, but eventually, I think it'll sit about 3,000 people as we expand in there. The Walleyes have 7,000 people a game. They're sold out all the time, and they're amazing.
Yeah.
I can see us going the same route 10, 15 years down the road.
Yeah.
As long as we keep doing what we're doing.
What about for the athlete?
Oh, the athletes, that's another thing that really drives my wife and I is we provide opportunities for these athletes and our staff to continue their professional career or start, but continue their professional career where they can get opportunities to go overseas and make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So with us, we guide them on the proper ways to, as simple as being on time. Because if you go overseas and you're not on time, you're going to be put on a plane and come back home.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of rules. Like you may only be able to have 2 or 3 Americans on a team, and there's hundreds upon thousands of Americans that want to come and take their place, right? So they don't have time for that stuff. So what we do with the athletes is provide as much content, resources, materials to be able to boost them as individual businesses, as their own portfolio, to be able to promote themselves, promote their brand. And we've seen that. We've probably had 14, 15 athletes that have gotten contracts at a higher level of basketball.
If there's an athlete out there listening right now, what's the process to get on with the team?
Yep. So we have tryouts every single year. So it's very important to go to tryouts. There's actually a league combine or draft where all the teams, and there's about 40 teams across the United States in our league that go to this draft and they draft people. And it's really about staying relevant. So you have to get on teams. There are other minor league organizations, but you just have to find a way to get part of a team, stay relevant, stay active, so that way you're adding to your resume.
So reaching out to you directly.
They can reach out to us directly.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's difficult because, we have our team in place right now, but there's, every year we have tryouts and stuff like that. So it's really, surrounding themselves with all the content that's out there about tryouts and what to do in the off season and who to contact, agents or scouts.
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah.
And is there anything that, like I guess, and this may be a silly question, but is there anything that restricts somebody from playing like felonies or what? I don't know. Is that like a thing or in sport or not really? Like
Playing where?
To play for the Glass City Wranglers, like do you guys do like a background check?
Yeah. So we
like,
definitely, yes, because
okay.
yeah, so we're big in the community. And so like if you have a background, yeah, we don't want you.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah, we do background checks.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we've there's a lot of talent out there, and sometimes people are in the wrong position, wrong time.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we can't take those athletes on.
Yeah.
And so the timing's not right. But yeah, so like if you have a background and it's not good.
Yeah.
For criminal. Yeah, we can't take you. No,
Okay.
we're a serious organization.
Okay.
Yep.
And the something you mentioned a little bit ago was you guys travel all throughout the United States. I think people don't understand that. I think people don't.
tough.
I think people
Yeah.
don't like really realize like that Glass City Wranglers is
Yeah.
representing Toledo throughout the U.S.
We
and
flew.
Canada.
So we flew.
right?
Yeah, I flew my guys. I flew our team, and I win, of course, to Newfoundland, St. John. So like if you're looking at a map, it's an island at the top right, whatever, of Canada. Like you can only get there by ferry, like a boat
Yeah.
or plane. And we flew our guys there and played in a big convention center, which, again, I did that for a reason because I wanted to see what they were doing at a higher level and replicate that here, reassure it, right? But we flew our athletes to this island in Canada that's part of the Canadian league that we play. And it was amazing. Yeah, we have a conference, within Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, the New York, West Virginia area. But there's times where we may travel pretty darn far and play in big arenas. You know, we have to make sure it's worthwhile.
Yeah.
But yeah, that experience is top notch, man.
How big of a impact does local community support make when you're playing home games?
It makes a big difference, yeah. So like we have a balance right now where we have about, you know, a little bit under half of our athletes are local still. And then we have out of town athletes that we house.
Yeah.
And that local support is massive, right? And the crowd cheering, it really changes the game, you know, and it's, you know, definitely seen at, you know, we watch a lot of college football and basketball, and there's a real thing as home court advantage, you know, and the crowd can change the game. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And that's why I asked that, because, you know, in sport, obviously they always talk about home court advantage or, you know, but you don't really realize it as a fan, you know, but I feel like definitely would help. You know, I don't know, as an athlete, I've never been an athlete, but if you could ask the community for one thing, what would it be?
It's support, and support isn't, I should say awareness. How about that? Awareness. That's what I was looking for. So like, you know, spreading the awareness of what the story is, how to identify with the Glass City Wranglers, how we're connected in the community, like all the stuff that we do, including playing the game of basketball. So, you know, what I would want from the community that really helps us, and that's also why we're here 5 years downtown versus 10 years, is because of the awareness that our community has supported us with. And so building that awareness really makes a big difference, right? And so like when people know one of our athletes, they may say, oh man, I know this guy, he's such a good person, you know, I mean, great basketball player, but he's a really good person, right?
Yeah.
And that comes back to me as like, hey, now they're going to go tell everybody like, hey, I know this guy on that team. He's a really good person, really good, you know, he's in the news doing community service and stuff like that. Like, oh man, that's great awareness. That's great, you know, media. And then when they come to our games and they take pictures and we take pictures, post it, they take videos, and then they put all their social media content and say nothing but positive things. Yeah. Like that's the awareness that we've received that I want to say, keep doing it. Like that's amazing. Yeah. Real good.
One thing I think, and I always tell people in general is, you know, if, you know, you know, sometimes it's like, okay, if you can't make it to a game, that's understandable, or to the games or whatever, for whatever schedule or whatever the reason. But something even as minimal as liking, sharing, or commenting.
Yeah, that goes far, right? And so we get a lot of, like, our social media content is pretty good. We hired some new staff members in those positions because we've grown, and see that we have a really good product off camera, but also on camera, of course, right? And so we wanted to capture that content and also show the community that these people are real people. They have, you know, great characters. And we've gotten a really good response from that. But I've actually gotten to the point where we have a lot of people reach out to me, or my wife, or anybody, you know, in our staff. They've reached out and said, "Hey, I may not be able to come to a lot of these games, and I don't own a business, or they own a business, and like they're too late because we've already, you know, got everything in place because we're about to start." And I've had a lot of people that say, "Hey, Josh, I just want to buy a bunch of tickets, and can you please go give it out to the community?" Like probably a couple times a week, we're able to get those messages and people buying tickets who really love the community. You know what I mean? So it's really beautiful having that type of support where people are coming to us, may not physically come to the games, but they're like, we love what you're doing, man. Yeah. Here's some money. We'll buy tickets, and then we'll go out there as we do, like we're doing today. Yeah. And we'll give these tickets to, you know, the appropriate, you know, crowd. And I think that's beautiful. And that just means that really shows us that we're doing something very, very good. Right. That is starting to get a lot of attention.
Yeah. No, and I'm so happy for you.
Thanks,
it,
man.
you know, because it's like, I feel like it's just, you're seeing that hard work pay off. you know, and it's and it just it drives you, especially when you're passionate about it. You just want to keep working harder and harder and harder, you know. And earlier you mentioned season's about to kick off, so tell us where to watch. What, you know, when's the first home game? Where to watch, all of that.
Yep. So February 27th, which is a Friday.
Okay.
First home game. And
Time?
7 p.m. tip off.
Okay.
Doors were open 45 minutes beforehand, so that way people can get concessions and like Pepsi products or adult beverages.
Right.
And then music's going. Then they can meet some of the mascots and dance team, and you know, take a lot of pictures. So a lot of fan engagement before the game starts. And they can buy tickets again on Ticketmaster. They can buy them through our website, or they can physically get them at the door or the box office of the Huntington Center. But yeah, so February 27th is our home opener. It's a Friday night.
Perfect night.
It's going to be amazing. It really
right before
is.
Spring.
Yeah. It's going to be great. And then our whole schedule, of course, is all over our websites, all over social media.
Okay. So go follow Glass City Wranglers.
Yep.
Okay. On Facebook, Instagram. Are you guys on TikTok?
Yeah. So we do TikTok as well. TikTok. We do all the social media platforms.
For if anybody can't make it, where can they watch you online?
So we have a BCSN is one of our great sponsors and partners for a couple of years now. Mm-hmm. So if you do have Buckeye and BCSN, you can watch us.
Okay.
Because all of our games are fully televised by them. Mm-hmm. Amazing company, great group of people that I've been working with past couple of years. Mm-hmm. You know, they love our product and love see that we've been growing every single year. So you can watch it on BCSN. You can also, there's other pay-per-view things through the league, but I really encourage people to go to, you know, Buckeye BCSN, and you can actually download the app for BCSN Buckeye and just search Glass City Wranglers, and you can see some of our games. Whether some of them will be live, mm-hmm. Some of them are going to be recorded and rebroadcast multiple times, but yeah, BCSN.
Is there anything before we wrap up? And by the way, I keep looking down because I try to keep these like 1 hour, an hour and a half, 2 hours.
We can go all
you
day.
know, and I'm like, I like to be mindful of like people's time, you know.
gotcha.
And I know you have things to do, and you know, so I'm like, we're like 2.5 hours now, which is completely fine with me.
Yeah, it's cool.
But I'm like, you know, I just want to make sure I'm respecting your time too. So, but is there anything, any last words you want to tell the community about Glass City Wranglers? Anything that you want to mention or say?
Man, so I'll just kind of repeat, you know, kind of the same thing. You know, it's Glass City Wranglers is professional basketball. We're the third major sports franchise now downtown, directly next to the Mud Hens and Walleyes. Mm-hmm. We're playing at the Glass City Center, which is the former Seagate Center. We're connected to the Hilton of downtown Toledo, the hotel. Which is really nice. So people can come to our game, and they can get a discounted rate to stay at the hotel right after our game, to make it a full experience as well, which will help with a lot of people that are going to be coming from out of town to see us. And then we really do focus on family fun entertainment.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very good basketball. There's a lot of connections in the community with our athletes and staff. But when anybody comes to our game, we're going to give them an NBA-like experience with having the dance team, with having an amazing sound crew and entertainment crew. Same thing with our game day operations, with fan engagements, a lot of support from our sponsors and partners with prizes that we give away. So it's really about having a full day family experience that is going to be talked about for many days and weeks and months going forward. And then the really cool thing is, like, when it pops up on your time hop, you know, like every year something pops up on your time hop. Mm-hmm. Like when people start seeing that on a yearly basis, like, oh, I went to the Wranglers game a year ago. Look how much fun we have. I need to go back to another one. And then, you know, I mean, here they are coming back. And so that's what we've been seeing, is that people show up and they come up to us and say, hey, I had so much fun. You know, I'm going to bring my grandparents back. And then we see them a couple games later, like, hey, what's up, man? I'm back. And they brought them. that shows us that we're doing something really special. And so we really invite people to come experience that for themselves.
And I've had like 3 or 4 people reach out to me that I'm going to be bringing to the game. They're like, hey, what's this? What's go to the game. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to go, know. So I'm going to be bringing some more people too, and also helping you. And, I want to thank you also for sharing your story. Honestly, it's an incredible story.
Thanks, man.
And we didn't even touch all of it.
We missed a lot.
We missed a lot. Like, we missed a ton.
It's okay though.
But it's crazy, everything you've overcame, right? And all of the obstacles that you've overcame and everything that you've done in 41 years of age, so really admirable.
Thanks,
and I
man.
hope that someone can watch this and say, hey, you know what? Like, if Josh can do this, I can give a little bit of that insight to someone that's younger out there that wants to, needs to hear about overcoming. And it's just, I like to see good people and people who have worked their ass off to get where they are. So you 100% deserve to be where you are and more.
Thank you.
So I'm excited to see where you go personally and on a business level, and where Glass City Wranglers go.
Thanks, man.
In Toledo, I want to wrap this up by saying, in front of me, there's a man who's bringing more fun to downtown Toledo, right? And bringing another event, so we can't keep saying, oh, there's nothing to do in Toledo.
Yes.
Now there's one more thing, right? And the least that we could do as a community is support, whether it's like, sharing, commenting, going to the games preferably. But if you can't, there's also BCSN, and like I said, a man who's doing this for passion, who's doing this for Toledo. And that's why I discussed a little bit about the economics, because it's not a business venture, right? And so I guess as a community, what we could do is just show love, show support, and go and watch the Glass City Wranglers. First game is February 27th. That's a Friday, 7 p.m. I mean, that's a perfect.
It's awesome. It's
perfect day
best.
to first home game. So thank you very much.
Yeah, man.
And I hope I had lots of fun sitting here talking to you. Learned a lot about you.
Okay, there's more. There's more.
But yeah, no, thank you very much. And for anybody out there, this is nothing fancy. Go like, share, subscribe, and then you'll see these shorts. Thank you. You'll see these shorts.
Okay. Yeah.
Within a week or two.
That's sweet, man. This was awesome.
Anything you want to say before you wrap up?
Nope. Because you'll be here another 20 minutes. Yeah, man.